Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Endgame. For the first time in this series, I am here in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. There are going to be a number of first times for the series here in the earlier parts. I did not intend to put that away. Here we go, am I happy with my inventory? I think so. I just don't want to waylay these people when they are intending to depart. One of them, though, was being polite in not readying up until I had readied up. You never know how impatient these people can get when they're hosting their quests. It may sound far-fetched, and possibly even paranoid, to suggest this, but you can actually have people who don't want to wait for you, and even if you're readied up on the quest, or rather, joined on the quest as a member of the quest, you may still get departed without just because you're taking too long. These things do happen, so it is most courteous to only ready up yourself when you're pretty convinced that the other person, or rather the other people, are ready to play as well, or ready to ready up themselves. There's a lot of repeating words such as ready. I'm going to remove the game chat, the PSP emulator game chat, from the screen, because it is slightly distracting. Or at least for me. I hate the visual appearance of it. I guess we're starting with Devil Joe. Look, I'm in the area with him, and it looks like Baktor is joining me for this confrontation, so I'd rather not split up into two groups. We'll see how things play out. But obviously, those of you watching at the moment will be able to see that things are much more fast-paced than the previous two videos. We are straight into a hunt, and it entirely depends on the group that I'm playing with. There was an appetite to immediately depart on the quest when I started recording, and so we are immediately on the quest. We are in the game, hunting monsters, namely Devil Joe in this case. Let me just get my chat up. I haven't even had the opportunity to do that. All of my preliminary setup has been either rushed or left incomplete, so I'm now having to deal with that while hunting a Devil Joe. Ooh, not the best timing for a paralysis, as you can tell, but that's alright. See if I can get a smash charge on the face here. Looks like I can manage that. Still haven't got my chat up because I'm, hunting a Devil Joe. The weapon that I'm using here is one of the Japanese DLC weapons. It sounds a little bit supererogatory for me to say Japanese DLC when I'm playing a game that is Japanese only, but I say it because, for those of you who played Tri, you will have known this greatsword as the Lion's Bane. But the Lion's Bane is not in this game because, the Lion's Bane was exclusive to the international release of Monster Hunter Tri. But this greatsword was in the Japanese version of Monster Hunter Tri, so that's why I mentioned that it's Japanese DLC. It's significant for me because I do remember playing Monster Hunter Tri and then looking on in sort of, looking on disconsolately at the Japanese weapons, thinking that they looked better, but also having to accept that I wouldn't be able to use them. It was kind of, it was a little bit annoying, but fortunately it wasn't very long until I was able to experience those weapons in this game, so all was not lost. Alright, I still don't have my chat up, so I'm actually going to have to forego the opportunity that is presenting itself at this very moment to hit the monster, to instead get my chat up. Very annoying. Come on. My modus operandi usually is to, go AFK briefly in the hunt if I've been forced to depart at the beginning of a live stream, and then just get everything organized. But as you were able to see, I was immediately in combat with the Devil Joes, so that wasn't going to work. Where the hell is my Twitch tab? There it is. Good God. And hopefully I'll be able to bring that up and be able to look at my chat. Alright. Excellent. Oh, and the other thing that I tend to do is go and check my desktop view of my stream dashboard to see what comments may have been sent that I missed, because I was still getting my chat up on my phone. And I've now been reminded that for some reason, for reasons that are entirely inexplicable and rather frustrating to think about, the chat has been removed defaultly from my Twitch dashboard. I do not know why it has been removed. I have little doubt that I will be able to get it back, but, as I suggest, there's no good reason for it to have been removed in the first place, so I don't know why I'm having to deal with that, but anyway. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. This is among my favourite Monster Hunter games, largely because it's within my favourite generation of Monster Hunter. I would have to say that, although I started in 2nd generation, definitely 3rd generation for me feels like the sweet spot for Monster Hunter. It feels like the comfortable balance between what they were going for in 2nd gen, but just a little bit more polished, and also hadn't introduced some of the changes to 4th gen that perhaps didn't necessarily detract from Monster Hunter, but did change it in some ways that some players couldn't really reconcile. And I sort of understand where they're coming from when it comes to that. I enjoy 4th gen for the most part, but not all aspects of 4th gen. 3rd generation, however, pretty much all of it I enjoy. I don't think there's a single thing, except for perhaps underwater combat, that I could take issue with. For me, it was all improvements. All improvements. However, you are always welcome to disagree with that position. That's probably, that's my evaluative position on 3rd gen versus everything else, but it's a video game. Much like other forms of media, it's open to interpretation. Very subjective. Looks like that is a dead Devil Joe. If you see him suddenly go on his hind legs like that, well, he's always on his hind legs, but when he raises himself into an erect position, you can probably assume that he's been killed. So, he is one of 2 monsters during this quest. I have also neglected to inform you as to what quest we're doing. It's not just Devil Joe, it's a double quest that also includes Black Tigrex. You were able to see that there were 2 monsters on the map, I think courtesy of Feline Oracle, perhaps. Where can I check that? Status? No. I seem to remember that there were 2 monster indicators when I first came in here, so whatever caused that, I don't know. It's certainly not Feline Booster, although... Well, I think Feline Booster is where you get a small increase in damage at the start of the quest, so it's certainly not that. Yeah, I would say that... So P-Berry in the chat is mentioning that there are no endgame wrinkles or any sort of strange gimmickry in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. It's just a good Monster Hunter game, and I do agree with that. I would say that that's probably a good assessment of 3rd generation in general. But the problem with Portable 3rd, if there is one, and I do think there is one, is a lack of content. And some people will say, well, what about Monster Hunter Tri? That game had 18 monsters, and there was just very little to do, even if you were playing the online city mode. Of course, the online city mode was designed in the same way as Monster Hunter G and Monster Hunter DOS, of course Monster Hunter 1 as well, in terms of your progress. Your progress was always going to be much slower in a game like that. And I'm not going to get into the details as to why, but it relates to just how you progress through the Hunter ranks. It's all done a little bit differently. So yes, you do still take some time to get through the game, but in terms of the amount of content in it, the number of monsters, the amount of weapons and armor and things like that, it's not much. So yes, you could technically argue that that puts Portable 3rd in a better position, just comparatively speaking, but I honestly disagree, and the reason why is because Monster Hunter Tri was done from scratch, from the ground up, whereas this game here is bringing a lot of things over from 2nd gen, directly from 2nd generation. So Monster Hunter Tri, and rather Alpha Team from Capcom, had a better reason for there being less to do and less things physically in Monster Hunter Tri. This game, however, it is lacking a little bit. Some may argue that that's because it's a high-rank game. And I will draw your attention to, things like equipment that could have been, you could have had more options for equipment. So for example, if I want to make all bows in the game, all shot types for all elements, I literally can't do that. There are actually some bows that simply do not exist, even though they should. And also, if I look at, monsters like Elatrion didn't get additional weapons, even though there were more weapon types that you could use in this game compared to Monster Hunter Tri. You know, there were lots of opportunities for there to be more options with equipment than what we ended up getting in Monster Hunter Portable Third. This game felt like it was a little bit rushed, not completely. And that wasn't my first impression when playing the game. It didn't feel like a rushed game when I was playing it at the time, but as the years have gone by, I do feel like they could have done a little bit more with this game, even though it is a high-ranked game. So, yeah. There's also the fact that it's a very, very easy game. Until Base World came out, this was by far the easiest Monster Hunter game, and it's not that they changed the way that you played it. It just has to do with the amount of damage that the hunt deals in relation to the monsters, and probably the amount of defense that the hunters have in relation to the monsters. So, even though it's possibly difficult for me to quantify it, if you were to sit down and play Monster Hunter Portable Third, just through the village, I would encourage you to play just the village, and then, immediately after, go and play the offline content of Monster Hunter Tri, and you will see what I'm talking about when I say that this is a very easy game. I don't think that difficulty is really that important when it comes to Monster Hunter. I think there are a lot more nuanced ways of interpreting quality in a Monster Hunter game than by saying things like, oh, this game's too easy or this game's too hard. That's a really oversimplified way of interpreting it. But seriously, if we want to talk about difficulty, Tri, compared with this game, keeping in mind they are in the same generation and are, you know, the next game, respectively, from one another. So, you know, the prior game to this one is Tri, and then the successor of Tri is this game. They are like night and day in terms of difficulty. So, yeah, I would encourage you to give that a try, and then you will be able to see what I'm talking about if my explanation is insufficient and in any way confusing. It's a good turnaround from Makima, though. I mean, I could try and do a turnaround here, but it's probably not going to be... Oh no, that ended up working quite well. Although, it could have been immortal. I was going to say immortal, but sorry, it's immortal. He may have actually knocked down the Tigrex there. So as tempting as it was to take credit for that knockdown, it's probably more likely to have been immortal, where the hind legs of the monster were. And are. Yeah, I would say the number of monsters in this game is pretty good. I'd have to agree with that. So, yeah, I would say that in terms of content, my complaint is specifically directed at the equipment that you can have. I think that equipment was the weakest aspect of Monster Hunter Portable Third. Probably unfair, however, for me to immediately go into the things about Monster Hunter Portable Third that could have been done better. There was so much that was done well in this game. And, yeah, if you just want an honest, genuine Monster Hunter title from third generation, this is a good example. Could certainly be argued that more things were done well in this game as compared to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. But for me personally, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate comes out on top. I say without reservation and without equivocation that Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is my favourite Monster Hunter game. Maybe I'll go through the reasons why one day. But it all depends on what you value, and it just so happens that for the things that I value in a Monster Hunter game, they can be found in greater quantity in third generation, and of the third generation games, 3 Ultimate is my favourite. So, you know, logically that means that 3 Ultimate's my favourite Monster Hunter. And I do feel that way about it. I didn't just, you know, make some sort of logical calculation and then decided, well, that's it, it's my favourite game. I did think about it, and I realised, no, I do actually think 3 Ultimate's my favourite, so there you have it. It's just really interesting, because these days, and it is a more recent phenomenon, largely to do with the fact that it's only been quite recent that, or it's been a recent phenomenon that more people have been playing 3 Ultimate. For some reason, there's been a lot of negative rhetoric surrounding the game, people saying that it's crap or that it could be better. I just completely disagree. There are things that they did horrifically wrong in 3 Ultimate. Excuse me. Namely the charm table system. That was just ridiculous. The fact that it was locked to your character and couldn't be changed, or rather, would not change as you played the game. That was just unconscionable and a truly ridiculous decision on the part of Capcom, assuming it was a decision and not some sort of bug. But, yeah. I'm not going to get into the details about Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, but yeah, I accept that there are things that could have been done better, but my honest opinion is that it's among the best of the games. And to cap off that discussion, if you play Monster Hunter in depth and have played all the different games, you will know and understand that every single game has a flaw. If not a number of small flaws, then a number of really serious flaws. But we tend to make allowances and concessions because the formula of Monster Hunter, quite frankly, is a beautiful thing and very entertaining and leads to countless hours of enjoyment. This guy is posting his drink quests, which is fine. This one is... ooh, that looks like a low rank one. HR 3 and up. I thought HR 3 was low rank. Isn't 4 and beyond? Let's find out. Yeah, see, HR 3 and up, so this is a low rank quest. Very well. If he's doing all of his drink quests, it just means that we will have to endure some low rank questing, but it's alright. Zenoga and something else. I'm going to bring another raw weapon because I forgot to take note of what the other monster was, but I did see Zenoga there. Let's have a look. I could bring a hunting horn. Not that it's really needed, but anyway. Do I have a raw hunting horn? Probably not. Where are my hunting horns? Over here. Probably need to make a raw one. Oh no, I've got a poison one. That'll work just fine. The darkest coffin. They did actually go and check all of the other coffins and confirmed that this was the darkest one, so we don't need to worry about that. See, Barktor is not readying up. If he did ready up, particularly with me not in the room, I probably wouldn't have a group to play with right now. Sounds dramatic, sounds unnecessary, but it's entirely true. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, P-Berry. P-Berry theorizes that we may have actually lost some equipment in this game, or rather the potential for more equipment to have been on the table for forging may have been lost because feline equipment was first introduced in this game. Very good point. It's something that I hadn't even considered because I don't really make use of felines, so that whole idea of feline equipment, despite being extremely alluring when this game came out for me, I didn't use it then and I still haven't used it now. I just thought it was really cool. But yeah, it wasn't even in my mind when I was formulating that opinion. So it doesn't mean that my opinion has changed, but it does mean that there's probably a good explanation for why there aren't as many options for equipment as there could be. So, there you have it. That's probably it. One thing that I may have to reevaluate is the opinion that this game was a little bit rushed. Probably not true. This is really annoying though. Because this fucking weapon takes so long to make contact, I wasn't even able to hit the monster as it was flying away. Life goes on. Of course, the game that you're watching here is the first game to change Hunting Horn to actually play the notes automatically as you swing your weapon. You don't actually have to go into a separate mode in order to play them. Or rather, to cue them up on the staff. They get queued up automatically, and then you go into a song mode in order to apply the effect to yourself and to your teammates. Made a huge change to Hunting Horn, or rather the change was pretty big, and definitely opened Hunting Horn up to more people. More people were interested in playing it at that point, myself included. I probably should check to see what my songs are, because I've got no idea what I'm playing. So I'll be playing Attack Boost, which is purple, red, I don't even know what that colour would be. Let's just say blue for simplicity's sake. Let's go back to purple. You are going to keep swinging your tail. It ends on purple, I hope. I believe I got that right. Just prioritising the playing of attack at the moment. Alright, so I do have movement speed up, thanks to my self-improvement song from before. I was about to pre-apologise for hitting someone, but fortunately that didn't end up happening. We've already got a limping Rathalos because this is a low-rank quest. It's not my preference to do low-rank hunts with a full high-rank team, but that's what's happening. I suppose we're at the mercy of whatever Immortal is posting, which I don't really agree with, to be honest with you, because Immortal, without communicating with anyone, joined this room of 3 people, all of whom are endgame high rank, and just started posting his quests. But Baktor is effectively the room host, and he has made the decision to do this guy's quests. But yeah, it's not really a sort of online strategy that I encourage or in any way agree with, to just turn up into a room and start posting your quests, because really, it's a form of begging. What if the group that you've joined actually have an agenda, or perhaps don't want to hunt what you're doing, or do what you're posting, or maybe they don't want to do some random person's quests. I don't know. That's why it's good to have a chat about it. But that's just me. The hunting horn that you're seeing me use here is probably the most common of the 3rd gen hunting horns, because it is general use. It's got attack up, it's got hearing, and it's poison damage, so its usefulness extends to almost every monster in the game. So, unsurprisingly, it is a top choice. I would assume that Naga Cougar is also a good choice in this game, but definitely Naga Cougar is more commonly seen in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite as a hunting horn choice. As you can see, there's a little bit of lag here, which means that this guy must be the first monster, and Rathalos was the second. How hosting works in this game is the red player will host monster number 1, and the blue player will host monster number 2. So yeah, you will see a little bit of strange connectivity here, but the hosting system of Portable Third really does not gel with the netcode in any way. I mean, connectivity as far as keeping the hunters in the same session together, that seems pretty solid. It would have to be with a game like this, but as far as the monster not glitching around and staying nice and smooth, no, don't expect that in this game. The hosting system of all of the PSP games prior to this one was more effective when it came to the smoothness of the monster in the session. May as well do ESP as well, just in case. I call it ESP because that's my habit. When I first played Try, I called it ESP, and then I started calling it Mind's Eye, and now I'm back to calling it ESP again. Certainly not PSP, that would be unusual. There we go, I got a knockout. KO. I'm always eager to see if there's anyone else who may have actually been responsible for the KO, but no. On this occasion, it was entirely me. But anyway, doesn't really matter, does it? Because the quest is already over. Hello, Yells. Welcome to the livestream. Yeah, the animations of this hunting horn are pretty cool. I suppose I can't really demonstrate it if I don't have an actual song queued up. Almost looks like the mouth of a creature. Or I suppose more realistically, something trying to break out of the coffin that has been chained. What's inside the coffin? I've got no idea. Is it a vampire Gigi That would be quite disturbing. Imagine like a humanoid Gigi that's just trapped in the coffin. Quite frankly, I would also seal that away if it existed. I don't really know if there's any point in me politely requesting that we only do high rank quests, but anyway, that's a pretty nice ending hit. It almost doesn't look like that's me making contact, and the reason why is because that looks like water element, but I suppose not. That must just be the physical impact. Nice big blood splatter though, look at that. Definitely me dealing the ending blow. If you're looking at the end screen in Portable Third, or pretty much any Monster Hunter game, and you are seeing your own impact with a massive blood spatter as the final frame of the fight, you can rest assured that you were the one who dealt the final blow. Immortal has, without hesitation, posted another quest. This is the Immortal Show, where it's all about him and whatever he wants to do. It is HR6. Again, no conversation led to this scenario where he's just posting quests. It's just happened. And I can tell you that he would do this in any room that he joins. And unfortunately, the fact that he walked into this room, posted a quest without asking anyone what was going on in the room or if he could post, the fact that he's actually able to constantly do his quests like this, almost, it validates that strategy for him, so he will continue to do this in every room that he joins, and I'm sure that he was already doing that, but yeah, it's not really ideal online play. But anyway, I'm not going to complain about it for much longer. In fact, I have now finished complaining about it. I need to try and remember what was posted. It was another double monster quest, and while it was in the desert, I can't know for sure what the weaknesses are. Alright, let's go back to fucking raw weapon. Let's do high grade earplugs. This one, I think. Yeah, that's the one we want. I do have to create non-sharpness +1 loadouts for the Elatrion weapons, because they're maxed out sharpness in this game, so yeah. I could bring the Supreme King Sword just for fun, but no, I think I'll just bring Tessaiga. Tessaiga is the Inuyasha sword. It is the Japanese DLC version of the Tenebra D, if you remember that from Monster Hunter Tri. And I guess technically Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate as well, but definitely more of a Tri weapon by comparison. I'm in two minds about whether I prefer Tessaiga over Tenebra. Tenebra is much cooler in some ways, but I also like the simplicity of Tessaiga being this weapon of a certain width when you have it sheathed, and then when you unsheath it, it basically doubles in width. I think that's pretty cool. They're both cool in different ways. Tessaiga is like a... I don't even really know how to describe it. I remember that it's an Awaken Ice longsword, but visually it's got a glowing blue accent. And when sheathed, it looks really cool as well. The hilt, when you have it in its sheath. Very cool. Sandbarioth and Tigrex. Well, I'll still go raw. Yeah, so there are other translations of this game, P-Berry. And if the quest is Spanish in their game, it will come up on the quest board as Spanish as well. I'm assuming that was the Spanish language. I didn't really check, but I did notice that it wasn't in English. You do have to be a little bit careful of that, because sometimes if it's written in another language, that might be indicative of a custom quest. And if it's a custom quest, I don't know if we're expecting this other guy to come back. Is he coming back, or has he had his spot taken? Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, Gelud, the guy we were hunting with before, he's not coming back. So there you have it. This Jens person, or Jens, I don't really know how to refer to them. They are welcome to join. Anyway. No, not that nationality, Peaberry. So what I was saying before was that if you see a name come up for a quest that is in a different language, that can at times be indicative of a custom quest. And the danger of a custom quest is that you might end up having your save file effectively edited with an illegal monster size or something like that. That's usually the biggest issue with a custom quest. You also are in danger of trivializing your progress by getting free stuff, because some custom quests are literally designed to give you free stuff. I have encountered those, so just be aware of it. If you have departed on a custom quest, you're not going to get banned for it or anything. But, I should mention that I am playing this on Hunsterverse. This is a particular service for playing online Monster Hunter, in the PSP games predominantly, which is fairly well moderated. You can't really come on here and cheat. If you are, then you'll get reported pretty quickly and then banned. So, yeah, if you have departed on a custom quest, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to get banned or anything. The person who hosted the quest is the person who will be punished for it. But it's probably a good idea to avoid them in general. Yeah, so most of the weird quests from Monster Hunter Tri are in this game as well. So, for example, Mini Uragan. And then, of course, you have, as Yells mentions, the Mini Kurapeko who summons a Mini Uragan. So yeah, there are some strange quests in this game. I believe there is also the Giant Nibblesnarf. In Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, you fight the Giant Nibblesnarf in the arena, but in this game you actually fight him in the field, in the desert location. Or, sorry, the Sandy Plains, more specifically. Alright, it looks like we'll be starting with Tigrex. I'm happy with that. So our blue player on this occasion is Jens, or Jens. I think he's Spanish, so probably Hens, just to fucking confuse things even further. How about we get a letter that can be pronounced in 3 different ways? Gotta love languages. But, yeah, it's probably Hens. Hens? I can actually feel my care factor slipping away. But, yeah, we're going to find out what his connection is like, because he will be hosting the second monster. I thought this was the second monster, to be honest with you. And that stands to reason, because the connectivity that we were having with Immortals... I really don't want to call him Immortal, I want to call him Immortal. But, the connectivity we were having with his monsters in the previous quests was worse than this, so this is probably the blue player hosted quest, or sorry, the blue player hosted monster. There we go, it's a chance to possibly get my charge up. Still unlikely, though. It keeps moving around, you see. There's not much I can do about that. At least not for now. That was a flash bomb attempt. And I don't think I need to explain that it was unsuccessful. Obviously someone in the team is getting a bit sick of this monster moving around. The Tigrex is moving a little bit strangely, but it's not as bad as Immortals monsters. Oh yes, that's right. There's also the Metal Gear Solid quest, where you actually get the alert sound from Metal Gear Solid. And it has the some Metal Gear music as well. Lots of silly quests in this game. So the armor set that I'm using here is intended to be a general use high-grade earplugs loadout. Bit of a mix of a Cantor and a Matsuma Gatsuchi. It's a nice loadout. But of course, because there are indeed, well, I should mention it does have sharpness +1. And because it has sharpness +1, it would be a little awkward to... Oh god, here we go, got someone bombing the monster. Just a fun fact, don't do that. He was polite enough... Mate. He was polite enough to place the bomb away from the team, but still, it would be more effective for him to just hit the damn monster with his weapon than just suicide bomb it. But that really is the ultimate faux pas in online Monster Hunter. Apart from perhaps using pellet online, it is to drop a bomb near your teammates while the monster is either paralyzed or in a trap, or at the very least incapacitated. And then you end up getting the damage of one bomb, or perhaps two bombs, in exchange for the damage of most of the team as they get hit away from the monster. You know, a great idea until you actually think about it. I'm of the opinion that it's not even a good idea to do that instead of hitting the monster just for yourself. So let's imagine you're soloing the monster, or entirely coincidentally, you've dropped the bomb quite far away from your team, like that guy did before. That's still not a good idea. That's still not a good strategy. So if your weapon is that inappropriate, sure. But I don't think his loadout is that bad that he needed to do that in order to deal decent damage. Bombs are nice as bonus damage, not in exchange for your damage output. Alright, that should be a dead Tigrex. Certainly is. And Sandbarioth will be our next opponent. But yeah, I do suggest that it was entirely coincidental that he placed the bomb far away from everyone else, because people who do that, people who play in that way, are usually not going to be observant enough, or even considerate enough to check to see if anyone else is going to get hit by the bomb or not. That's my analysis of such people. That's the way I feel about it. I do have Psycho Serums, so I might utilize one of them. Barkdor has gone the correct way. Barkdor, just to be clear, he's a person who's been playing Portable Third on Hunsterverse for several years now. It has to be said that the community will constantly go through changes. You will see regulars for a period of time, and then they'll disappear into the ether. Some of them will come back, some of them won't. But Barkdor is one of the few who has remained. And yeah, he plays fairly regularly, and he almost exclusively uses that gun lance. Okay, apparently on his screen that that twister does not exist. Because we just watched him walk into that as if it didn't exist, and I was about to say, well, that's probably not the best decision, but I would say the evidence shows. Oh my god. Can we just stop having this immortal guy host these quests? For goodness sake. Having this guy host his quests has been problematic for two reasons now. A, he's got shit internet, and B, he's been hosting high rank quests. Sorry, he's been hosting low rank quests. I said high rank because I'm so used to playing G rank games, but yeah, in this case, it's actually low rank. If it is the lowest, or rather the lower rank. Oh my god, I can't even make sense of what's going on with this kind of connectivity. Not the best place to paralyze the monster, but obviously we can't be blaming the paralysis user for hitting the monster. A bit unfair. Just trying to break this wing. The weird thing about the Barioth wings is that they don't get broken immediately when you reach the threshold. They only get broken once the monster has finished their paralysis or their trap animation. Or being trapped animation. Whatever the best way to describe that would be. I'm getting many more opportunities to hit this monster, however, than the Tigrex. Ooh. It's wound up being a good thing, though, because I don't really want this monster to be moving around with this sort of connectivity. The gunner has decided to go up on the ledge. I suppose we could describe that as a strategy. It ends up being quite good for Tigrex, because Tigrex does get stuck in the wall. which harkens back to Freedom 2. Oh. I was trying to get the tail, but you could see that when Barioth actually stood still, he was slowly sliding away from me. Which, incidentally, does not help my cause, does not assist me in any way. Yeah, I'll try to remember to check Barkdoor's set. Because P-Berry reckons it's quite good. I would say Evade Extender is an excellent choice for Gunlance, something I hadn't actually considered. Because if you think about it, my most common complaint for Gunlance is its lack of mobility. I'm not suggesting that it should have more mobility, it's part of the balance of the weapon type. But one way in which you can mitigate that uncomfortable lack of mobility would be Evade Extender. It would be an excellent thing to use. I use it for Lance in 2nd gen, so I probably should do it for Gunlance as well. Oh, that wing's broken, but the other one's still intact. Alright. As you can see, pretty effective team. 2 monsters out in the field, both of them are dead before 10 minutes have elapsed. Seeing as though there's a Rhinopolis here, I might carve you as well. I was kind of expecting that. Well, this has ended up being an excellent demonstration of the raw and poison weapons of the game. Wouldn't mind using something elemental, but that will depend on what quest actually comes out next. He's using the Crimson Kurupeko heavy bowgun. I probably haven't done a good enough job of demonstrating this weapon, or showcasing it. It's a bit harder to see it in detail with this giant glowing yellow shit, but I quite like it. Now, we should have actually reached the end of the quest some time ago, but because the host's connection is so abominably subpar, we have to wait like an extra 10 seconds for the quest to complete. Oh well. The reality is that when you're playing with people who are on Hunsterverse and playing the PSP games... Hey, look at that! Managed to get a Gold Crown Small. Didn't get one of those yet for this monster, so that's a nice addition to my monster log. But yeah, the people that you play with on Hunsterverse playing the PSP games are more than likely going to have shitty internet, it's just a reality. And you're going to suffer more playing this game than you are any of the other PSP games when it comes to that. Just has to do with the hosting of monsters in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. It's not as well done, and it's less robust, is how I would describe it. Get another drink ticket. Oh, that's a hot spring ticket, excuse me. Probably as a result of doing hot spring quests. Or drink quests. Technically, you do have 2 different quest lists. You've got hot spring quests and drink quests, but the type of quest that it is overall is drink quest. Those are the blue quests that get posted on the board. To demonstrate that, you can see you've got hot spring quest, drink quest, but if I go... Is there any way I can demonstrate this? Not really. Oh no. Yeah. The titles do change when you actually open the quest up, but I think the category of quest, which is a blue quest, is called a drink quest. Anyway. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay. You aren't really missing out on much information, to be honest. Oh yeah, the set. Player list. Player info. There we go. Yeah, that is basically a loadout that is designed to be used with that gun lance. That is a paralysis gun lance. Status attack +2, artillery novice, quick sheath, and razor sharp. Don't know where you saw the evade extender, but evade extender would be a good choice. I'll have to give that a try at some point. The only thing that stops me from evading to get around with a gun lance, there are actually two reasons. The first is that gun lance already has the advanced forward attack, which can actually help with mobility already, versus the lance, where you have to sort of shield and then do a shield advance and then drop your guard again. It's technically, when you need to move forwards, you've got more freedom to get that little bit of extra mobility with the gun lance as compared with the lance. Second of all, your back hops with the gun lance are considerably slower than the lance. So I think the fact that you can't get as many of them out means that I might not want to use evade extender with a gun lance. I don't know. Has Immortal finally disappeared? Is this an opportunity for me to post something? Let's do it. I mean, I don't really have the chat open, and I probably should when it comes to choosing my own quests, but, well, sorry, I keep doing that. Oh, Bakdor is having a smoking break. He specifically said, "Un minuto please, cigaro." I'm going to assume that he's having a smoking break. As for Immortal just really puts me off having to pronounce his name in that way. Perhaps he's finally gone. He has unceremoniously disappeared. Oh, he says, "Me tengo que retirar, suerte." Retirar looks like the word retire, so I'm going to assume that he is all done now. And indeed, Bakdor is taking a smoking break, so I suppose there is an intermission. Indeed. Well, in the meantime, I suppose I can figure out a quest that I want to do. Because I don't think either of these guys have an objective. You can see they are also endgame. And really, my only objective at this stage, if I were to look for an objective, it would be to do quests in this game without having the monster glitching all over the fucking screen. So, I would like to take the opportunity to post, seeing as though it has been presented to me. But keep in mind, I can't really avoid a scenario where the monster is glitching all over the screen, or at least I can't ensure that it won't happen if I'm doing a multi-monster quest, because it is going to inevitably be hosted by the blue player, or one of the monsters is going to be hosted by the blue player, so I don't know. Oh, no, see what I mean? This is how people play. He was thoroughly undeterred by the fact that I was already staring at the quest giver. He has launched himself to the quest giver and is going to post something. Oh no. Yes, you should defer to me, sir. I was here sometime before you. Right. Should I post something that will prevent him from joining? Should I be a real piece of work? Probably not, not a kind way of approaching it. Let's do... If I leave to change my weapon, he's going to post a quest. So what do? Oh, Bakdor is back. He raped that cigarette. Can anyone get the Gold Rathian quest? Asks Sombra. Is that HR 5 or 6? Where is that quest? Must be here. Well, I'm happy to host it for him if he can join it. Better that than... But isn't it... Where is Gold Rathian? Should be here, right? I do know that there are unlock conditions for it, but I've definitely fulfilled them. Neither Silver Rathlos nor Gold Rathian are actually showing up in my quest list, and I've got absolutely no idea why. I know that it's not DLC. So what the where? I can't even string a sentence together, I'm so befuddled. Where are they? They're not on rotation, so where have they gone? Am I going insane? I'm going to check every quest in this list just to make sure that I'm not actually going insane. Okay, they're at the start. They're at the start. Yes, I can post that. I said that I will post the quest and that I'm going to change weapons. I hope that's not going to encourage someone else to post it for him because I'm not in the room. I would actually like to be the one to post, just to ensure that we've got a decent frickin' connection for purposes of recording the game smoothly. Do you know what? I'm just going to bring this, and then let's go. I'm not even going to take the time to figure out what I want to use. I'm just going to bring bamboo. Now, bamboo is an interesting thing. For those of you who are familiar with Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and the popcorn loadout, this is basically the portable third equivalent of the popcorn loadout. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about at all, you've got no idea what the bamboo is for, and you've got no idea what the popcorn is for, I can summarize it with one word: shelling. So, obviously, it's not going to be elemental in any way. It's, well, technically gunlance. Shells do deal a small amount of fire damage. I don't want some pedant in the comments saying that. But yeah, it's not going to be elementally focused. It's basically true damage onto... It's true damage, isn't it? I believe I'm correct about that. It's probably not true damage. True damage would be something like bombs, which is like a set amount, whereas surely the shelling of this is going to correspond with the attack value and the sharpness. Yeah, it's probably not true damage, excuse me. But it's... Well, no, it is true damage in the sense that I think it deals the same damage regardless. Yeah, so that's what makes it true damage. It's going to be the same damage no matter where on the monster the shelling takes place. So it'll be true damage plus a little bit of fire. I believe I'm correct about that. Never quiz me on the the inner workings of Monster Hunter. I tend to get these things wrong. But anyway. Yells, you probably shouldn't snipe me because it's not going to work. Looks like Hens is still kicking back. He's very relaxed. Okay. Barkdor is saying that we should go now. Because the sooner we go, this is his logic, the sooner we go, the less he will have to wait. I mean, we could also say that we could wait. But I guess that's not how Barkdor wants to approach it, which is fine, I don't mind. That's a fucking huge Rathian, look at the size of it. Definitely a silver crown, but perhaps a gold crown. Just look at the wingspan. It's insane. Well, I probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you can see that was a terrible decision. If we were fighting a normal Rathian, that may have been acceptable, but we are not fighting a normal Rathian. I'm pleased to say, however, that I'm actually hosting my own monster for a change. So that means we can get a nice, perfectly smooth confrontation. It's only been like an hour. I actually don't know how long it's been. Feels like about an hour. No, come on. Fucking Wyvern Fires. Yeah, it's always good to get your Wyvern Fire out immediately and then let it charge. The sooner you get out your Wyvern Fire, technically speaking, the more you'll be able to do in one hunt. I'd like to knock you out of the sky. So yeah, this is shelling level 6, I believe. There aren't too many gunlancers in the game that go up to level 6 for their shelling. I'm trying to show this. Excuse me, shelling level 4, not level 6. Jeez, that would be ridiculous. This is shelling level 4. The majority of gunlancers will go up to level 3. Some, of course, will be level 2. This one goes to level 4. But the loadout that I'm using it with is focused on shelling damage. So it should be Artillery Expert. sharpness focused. I believe I've got load up as well, just to give me more shells. One of the annoying things about shelling in this game specifically is that you are not given a proper shelling impact on the body of the monster when your gunlance shell has made contact. So in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, for example, when you shell a monster, the part of the monster that you made contact with will actually burn for a short time, just to make it clear that you have hit the monster and there is an impact. It actually marks where on the monster you hit them. No such thing in this game. I don't precisely remember how it's done in other games, but even if it's not a burning effect, there is something to really clearly indicate that you've made contact. Not so. Not here in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. I think the way they do it is that the flame gets bigger because it's hit a physical object, which has caused the flame to, instead of continuing forward, it actually stops on the monster, but it's not in any way satisfying. Obviously, the geography of the area is working against me. Oh, I'm going into a tail spin. Tail flip, whatever you want to say. Tail spin relates to aerodynamics, I believe. Alright, I've got my Wyvern Fire charged. Let's give it a try. That's what I want. Excellent. I took a hit for it, but it's worth it. Don't do that on my position, please. Of course, I am shelling focused, so I will be doing my best to keep away from teammates. Alright, I'm in the Broken Blade, so it is time that I sharpen up. I don't know if I've got speed sharpening, but I'm sure I've got sharpness +1 or something like that, yeah. So yeah, any kind of sharpening skill that you can get, whether it's, well, sharpness-related skill, very much recommended with any gunlance loadout, but particularly loadouts that focus on shelling. You should definitely be getting a sharpness skill of some kind. So, I've got sharpness +1. Good enough for me. Razor Sharp or Speed Sharpener would be good as well. Barkdor is obviously doing a mix of shelling and hitting the monster. He's got a paralysis weapon, so it's in his interest to not shell too much. I don't know if he's actually gotten a paralysis yet. I don't think I've seen one. There we go. This is not a very... How do I describe it? This shield doesn't really inspire much confidence in me. I can't imagine it being able to block much. But obviously that's not how gunlances work. That's not how shielding works in this game. I've actually got a good Wyvern Fire opportunity here. Fortunately able to do it with my green sharpness this time. Which should affect the damage output. Yes, my lance is a piece of bamboo, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why my lance is a piece of bamboo, because it harkens back to the very origin of guns from China. Even going back to, say, the 1400s, guns used to just be like, in Western countries, for example, guns used to literally just be a long cylinder, and then you just point a cylinder at the enemy, and then, you know, hope that you got it on the mark. I apologize to Barkdor for killing him there. Rain is coming down really hard outside, so if you get a nice ambient, almost white noisy sounding thing, then it's the rain. It is coming down hard enough for me to be slightly concerned about my balcony door being open, so after this hunt I will go and close that. It's not so urgent that I need to postpone the hunt. Well, I guess I wouldn't be postponing the entire confrontation, but I would be running away to go and deal with it, but yeah. Sounds a little problematic, actually. I technically have electronics near the window, or rather near the door, but the rain would have to come at a very specific angle, and with remarkable intensity, in order to get any of that technology. But it would be the case that on the day that I choose to be complacent and a little more risk-taking is the day that the angle and the intensity are perfect for hitting my electronic devices. So, oh well. I've made my decision. Not the first time I've had to take a hit in order to get my wyvern fire off. Yeah, let's sheathe. I reckon I can do it in time. You can see they're quite lenient with wind pressure in this game. If this were first or second gen, I would have absolutely, without question, been hit by that wind pressure. But surprisingly, I managed to evade it. But yeah, I'm going to assume that the Chinese got it from the Romans. I'm probably wrong about this, but the origin of fireworks comes from the Roman candle, I believe. And if you look at a Roman candle, it looks like this as well. So I feel like the Chinese may have seen the Roman candle and thought, we can actually use this to maybe actually fire something, like a projectile, and they gave it a try, and it bloody well worked. Yeah, people probably don't think of also like medieval combat with swords and horses and whatever else to also include guns, but they did. And they were big long tubes. Very awkward things. Which is probably why they didn't feature very prominently, but they did exist. Alright. This is actually a warning quest. If you wonder how I knew that, you know that it's going to be a warning if you try to turn your camera at the end of the quest and it refuses to let you turn your camera. A new monster has arrived in the area. To go back to village, select Go to Village in the menu. The quest reward will still be paid. I don't actually mind doing the next monster. I may leave it to Baktor. It's up to him. They're possibly discussing whether or not they want to do it or not. Whether they want to do it or not. I'm saying the sentence again just in case I misspoke. I think I did. I knew that part, Peaberry, but I was theorizing that perhaps the Roman candle had influenced the Chinese. That was my question. I also like that you hadn't picked up on the irony of saying, "Oh shoot," in reaction to what I said. Sounds like the rain has stopped, so I might not go and shut my door after all. Looks like he has returned and then gone back to sitting down. Yeah, it is probably a weird way to go back to village. You pretty much look like you disconnected or something like that. But yeah, the warning system, it doesn't exist completely in place of monster invasions. You can, I think, have invading monsters. Like, if you've got an unstable environment, I think you can still get invading monsters as you normally would, but in this game it is mostly confined to the warning system, which is kind of silly, because if you think about it, you shouldn't be given the option, really. It's an interesting system, but I don't think that I agree with its implementation in replacement of just a monster turning up during your quest that you have to deal with. Giving you the choice instead is a little bit of a cop-out. But usually if you see unstable locale, that is when you're going to get a warning. So if I go, oh no. No, so unstable locale I think is as it always was, because you can see that we still got a warning here, despite the fact that there's no unstable locale. So yeah, if you find a quest that says unstable, you can expect a standard invasion during the quest, which you can't obviously reject. You can't just say, oh, no, I'm returning to village. No, you will have to deal with that monster, either run away from it or use a dung bomb. But yeah, warnings, it looks like, can appear in any quest. But you're obviously able to see there that most of the quests that we went through were not unstable. It's only a select number of quests where you will get a standard invading monster. Yell says that only certain quests can be warning quests, and I don't really know if that's true because there's no indication as to whether or not a quest is a warning quest or not. Like, how am I supposed to know if this is a quest that can possibly have a warning on it? I'm not convinced that that only certain quests can, because I feel like they should indicate it in some way. You know, if unstable locale meant that it might give you a warning, fair. But if it doesn't, then I'm not sure about that. What should I bring? I'll bring a sword and shield, maybe. Thunder sword and shield. Despot's crookbolt. I hope that they're going to let me post. Yeah, frustratingly, we're going to be grinding something again. Well, no, I can't really describe the other stuff as grinding. We were going through lots of different quests each time. So that's not really grinding, and that's not very repetitive either. But this, if this guy just wants to do Gold Rathian, doesn't really bode well for the recording. You guys may not mind watching the same monster repeatedly, but I don't particularly want to do the same monster repeatedly, and I also think it would be better for the recording to do different monsters each time. So yeah, that's what happens when we are at the mercy of people who just randomly turn up and ask to do stuff. But anyway. Okay, so you were asking if the warning system was random. The quest where you get a warning will have a set monster for the warning, I think. But yeah, it's not completely random. Alright. There have been 32 messages since I last checked the chat. Not like I can really read it, though. So yeah, much of this game is actually fan-translated. For those of you who are familiar with the official translation of this quest title, it is Ring of the Golden Loon. Fuck off! Ring of the Golden Loon. The fan translation is Golden Lunar Wheel. So really the only difference there, I mean, obviously Luna has been translated as loon officially, but instead of wheel they went with ring. So I always thought that ring was referring to a ring that you would wear, like jewellery. But obviously not. Ring is just referring to the shape. But obviously the fan translation has gone with wheel instead of ring. Ring is probably more accurate. Like, you know, Ring of Fire, for example. That sort of use of the word ring. But, there you have it. Thanks to this fan translation, I now realize that they're not referring to a ring as in jewellery. Maybe that much could have been determined by reading the quest description, for example, but I don't usually do that. There's a lot that you can actually learn about quests and about monsters, and I suppose about the lore of Monster Hunter through quest descriptions. In other words, the client comment. A pretty cool implementation, or a nice storytelling device, I suppose. But I'm not really that interested in the lore of the games that I play. As difficult as that might be for some people to imagine. But it's true, I'm sort of focused on gameplay more than I am about story. I don't mind a setting. I think a setting is important. I don't really want to be killing monsters in a vacuum with no world developed around it, but, you know, again, a setting is one thing, but getting into the depth of the story behind the setting, I'm not interested in that at all. Never have been, never will be. Doesn't mean I have a problem with story-focused games, but obviously, this is not a story-focused game. Bit of an awkward perspective there. I had a tail swinging in my face. I had turned myself to shield that if necessary, but I ended up landing on my hands and knees, thus receiving an invulnerability period. There's a lot going on here now that we've got 4 people. I don't know if you've noticed, but the fight feels busier than before. Considerably. I suppose it's because I've got those shots from the gunner hitting the monster while I'm engaging it. One thing that I don't think I had noticed until now was that the talons of the Rathian are actually bright gold and catch the light, which is kind of cool. Yeah, quest descriptions, I should mention, are not going to be very good in this game. You can imagine that as far as priorities go in translating a Monster Hunter game, things like the quest descriptions are pretty low on that list of priorities, so I don't think the translations are going to be very good. P-Berry says that they're not, so I'll trust him on that. You can see that I'm still bouncing on the head. I don't believe it was until either 3 Ultimate or 4 where breaking the head of the metal rats actually makes it a weakness. I don't think it's a weakness here. I could be wrong. Maybe it was actually introduced in this game where it became a weakness. It's really frustrating. Every now and again, these little tidbits of information that I once knew, I'm now like really uncertain about them because I do forget. Like I used to know that, but yeah, anyway, at one point in the history of this game, the head was always going to be weak. The head was always going to be resistant no matter what. And then in one of the games, breaking the head turned it into a weak point. I think that was a 4th gen thing, not a 3rd gen thing. And if it was a 3rd gen thing, I think it was 3 Ultimate, but it also could have been this game. So maybe I should just shut up. Because I guess I just don't remember anymore. Really? Apparently this... Do you think this is all Google translated? I guess it could be. Apparently, Ludroth translates to freaky guys, which is kind of funny. Anyway. There is a proper translation being worked on, which will be refreshing. I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's been in the works for the last year or 2. Looking forward to it. As long as they keep with the original PSP font, I don't mind. But I'm assuming it's going to... Yeah, it'll still use the PSP font. Could you imagine if they didn't do that? it is technically a copyrighted font, so people have avoided actually... Like, for example, if you're playing on PPSSPP, the emulator, you're not going to have the PSP font automatically loaded in. So you actually have to download it separately, and I think they did that to avoid copyright infringement. But yeah, as far as a translation of this game, I'm assuming it will just use whatever font is already loaded into the emulator. Which in my case is the original PSP font. We were possibly going to get a limp there, but that flash bomb has prevented the limp, which is good for us. Getting dangerously close to the exit, couldn't even finish the sentence before I got sent out. It's worth mentioning that despite the fact that Purple Sharpness was actually put into Try, which was a high rank game, there is no Purple Sharpness in this game. I think there was just a bit of uncertainty on the part of Capcom, Alpha Team particularly. They realised that a new sharpness had been brought into Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Well, probably not realised. I'm sure they were apprised of the details a little more officially than that. They weren't just going, oh, hey guys, guess what Beta Team did? Whoa! No, I'd say they knew very well that Purple Sharpness had been brought into Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And so in Monster Hunter Tri they thought, oh yeah, well if there's a new sharpness level we may as well put it in this game. But then they realised that that was a really stupid balancing decision, so they didn't bring it into this game. It became pretty clear that Purple Sharpness was going to be a G-rank exclusive sharpness level, because otherwise it's just too strong. Obviously the advent, or rather the implementation of Purple Sharpness in Tri being a high-rank game really ruined the balance of the online. But yeah, White Sharpness in this game really is very similar in effectiveness. If you have a White Sharpness weapon in this game, it almost doesn't matter what element you're using against different monsters. Your White Sharpness weapon is going to be really strong no matter what. So if you're using an Elatrion weapon or as an Ogre weapon, you really don't have to worry about using the correct element for the monster that you're fighting. It'll just drop it. It'll completely annihilate it. And you do see people playing in that way, which is unfortunate, but I understand why. It just really grosses me out to use the incorrect element against a monster. Alright. I guess more gold Rathian. I'm going to politely ask if this person needs anything else. Okay, so Sombra is changing weapons, fine, but I'm going to politely ask if he needs anything else, because I don't really want to do any more of this monster. At all. We are an hour and 19 minutes in, so... Is it going to be another 40 minutes of fucking gold Rathian? Here's the question. Ideally not. Even though this is a new livestream series, I haven't really gone in depth into the things that are very specific to Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. I haven't really introduced the game, but I feel like I'd be here all day if I turned this into a welcome to Portable 3rd. Look at all these weird and wonderful things that are unique to this game. If I turned it into that, I think I'd be here, really, for the rest of the day. But, yeah, obviously you don't actually have a food system in this game. You have a hot spring that you sit in to give you your health and stamina, and then you actually buy drinks in order to get food skills. So they're more like drink skills in this game, obviously. Your hot spring will be upgraded as you complete hot spring quests, and you will have access to more drinks as you complete drink quests. It's a pretty simplified system. I probably wouldn't have liked it as an evolution for the series. In other words, something that would be implemented here and then carried over into other games. Hey, take it easy. What's going on, man? Do you have good internet? I'm happy to do whatever you want to do. I just don't know if I'm happy with you posting it. Well, we're going to have to find out. Maybe, no, I think I remember him having decent connectivity. Meeting of Heaven and Earth. Rathalos and Rathian. Well, it's not the same quest, so I guess I'll just accept it. But anyway, just to finish what I was explaining before, I don't think I would have liked it as a permanent change, but it's unique and a little different, and I like it, because it's just in this game specifically. It's part of the reason why I don't mind underwater combat, because it's in 2 Monster Hunter games and no other game. I actually don't mind it. I'm at peace with it. I didn't like it when it was first implemented, or first brought into the Monster Hunter series, but the realization eventually that it wasn't actually to stay, it wasn't here to stay in the series, it helped me warm to the idea of swimming around. Yeah, I'll bring a lance. Dragon, ideally. Do I have a dragon lance? I must, yes. No, no! Certainly not. Sorry, I'm making strange noises into the microphone. Yeah, they did simplify it with the Monster Hunter Generations fondue. Not really a fan of that either. Definitely better to have a hot spring and drink system than that fondue thing. But yeah, obviously they were quite keen on simplifying the eating system of the series. But I suppose they weren't quite happy with carrying the hot spring system over into other games. It's good, it gives this game more value. When you go back and play Portable Third, there's enough about it that's different to prevent you from feeling like you're just playing something that you can experience in another game. Looks like Barkdor has been sniped. This is where having limited understanding of English can be problematic. Barnell asked if this room was full, and Hens said no. Oh, never mind. Ah. It is in fact me who is not reading Spanish. He said, I can see Barkdor is saying, Buenas noches, which means good night. So Barkdor has gone to bed, and it turns out Barkdor has not been sniped. Okay. That terminology, by the way, sniped, that just means that someone has basically stolen your space in the room. It's referred to as sniping because, I don't know. I feel like snipe almost implies that it's deliberate, don't you think? Someone has deliberately gone in there and taken your spot. But it's really used to refer to your spot being taken by someone. Come on. This is also a really big Rathalos. When we first encountered that really large gold Rathian, I had completely forgotten to check how big it was, but anyway. The movements of that Rathalos was slightly negatively affected by the connectivity, so I wasn't able to counter it as I normally would. That's alright. In other words, it came out a little faster than it should. There's the fucking... Oh, that really frustrates me when I see that. It's the Rathalos and Rathian step forward and roar, which really ruins my attempts to counter roars on occasion. There's a good example of it there. You can... yeah, the connectivity's not good here. This might actually be hosted by the blue player. Oh, lovely. Yes, you were in one place, but you were not in one place. You slid around on the ground like you were on ice. Just what I like. This, quite frankly, is why I tend to record Monster Hunter Portable Third with my own room. where it's established that I'm going to be hosting. Did you see that? Like, how am I supposed to fight a monster where by the time I've unsheathed my weapon, it's gone and slid off somewhere else? It's impossible. So yeah, what you're seeing here is really the biggest issue of Monster Hunter Portable Third. It's the netcode and the hosting system, which makes it so that people who have shitty internet are guaranteed to make your gaming experience much worse than it otherwise would be. As I explained before, if we were playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, for example, and Barnell has passed out doing something, yeah, if we were playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite with the same people, we wouldn't be experiencing this kind of lag. Just to be very clear, it is a Portable Third issue. Managed to counter the wind pressure there. There is a Nahabra there if I were inclined to carve it, but I don't really want to. Not right now. I have to allocate all of my brain power to making sure that I don't get hit by this monster, because the thing is, when you've got a monster that's having connectivity issues like this, well, I suppose the monster's not having connectivity issues. We're the ones having the issues, but when you experience that, it just makes the monster less predictable. So you have to watch it really carefully. Like, for example, when you see the monster scratch the ground like this, it might just suddenly start running at you. I think Rathian's coming down. Yeah. Fuck. Great. So yeah. What you're seeing here is probably the biggest criticism you can make of Portable Third. It's an unfortunate one. But it is significant. It's going to affect your ability to enjoy the game. It's definitely affected my ability to enjoy the game in the past. But I've been a little more strict with my procedures for recording it. But I decided to take it easy today and just, you know, leave it to, you know, let Jesus take the wheel sort of thing. I have been... I've been left wanting after choosing to do that. Oh, fuck it. I can't see anything. I'm sure I misinterpreted what I saw, but it looked as if Hens was using pellet, but I think there was something else making contact with the monster. Maybe it was Barnell or something like that. Banel, how do I say his name? Oh, God. Definitely prioritizing the Rathalos at this stage, not just because he was the first one we were fighting, but also because the sooner he dies, the sooner I'm going to start smiling. Because... yeah. Do not like the connectivity of this monster. Take myself back up to white. If I do get hit here, I'm going straight down there. So hopefully not. Hopefully that will not happen. Okay, perhaps not. Maybe I have to be either right on the edge, or in this game I don't have to worry about that. One of the two. Sorry, my nose is really itchy right now. It's really pissing me off. I remember many years ago when I had an itchy nose while recording, someone said, "Oh, it's because you're drinking. Drinking makes your nose itchy," which may be true, but I can assure you I'm just drinking coffee today. No alcohol. So why is my nose so itchy? The solution, believe it or not, is to just not scratch it, and then eventually the sensation will go away. It's very annoying though. So we've had 2 deaths so far, or 2 faints, whatever you want to say. I always say death. Death is a bit final though, isn't it? Faint is probably a better description of what's going on. But anyway, we've had 2 deaths, and he explains why death is probably a bad word to use, and then proceeds to continue using the word death because that's how he's always referred to it. Anyway, that's a nice little side commentary of Doomlink's commentary. Or Link Inverse. I don't know whether to call myself Doomlink or Link Inverse, but anyway. Well, I'm not going to call myself Link Inverse, but Link, Doomlink. My online name is basically Doomlink, but can also be Link, whatever. Doesn't really matter. You may refer to me in whatever way you wish. What was I going to say? I had a train of thought and it's just disappeared now. But that's alright. I can see the connectivity here is better. Oh yeah, we have already had 2 deaths, so we do have to be careful. The idea that we might fail this is actually a little embarrassing, but that is the reality. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the connectivity of this monster. But like, what do? Do I tell Banil, no, you have to not join up as the second person going forward. You're not allowed to. It's ridiculous, to be honest, so I'd rather not be in that situation. How is the game volume, by the way? No, that looks alright. That was something that I'd forgotten to actually double check, but seems to be fine. There's our paralysis. I did see that coming. I saw that we had some paralysis coatings. It looks like he's still shooting them. Oh no. It's just that the impact and the paralysis are both yellow, so wasn't entirely sure. Oh, my wrist hurts for some reason. Just keeping you up to date on my itchy nose and on my sore wrist. Ugh. Player order is determined by accepting the quest. You could imagine that the person being the red player doesn't change depending on when they ready up, so the same is the case for all other participants as well. So yeah, the second person to join up on the quest is going to be the blue player. As for green and yellow, I don't actually remember. I think yellow is the last one. Could always be wrong though. It's just a theory. It is not an educated guess by any means. Just a guess. As you can see, due to the poor connection of at least one of the players, presumably Banil, we had quest complete, and then we still haven't thrown our arms in the air. Goes to show how shit this guy's connectivity is. He's trying to back hop off the edge and is singularly failing to do so. And, oh no. Perhaps that was the objective. Alright, now we've finally thrown our arms in the air. But yeah, that should... consider that like a measurement of just how poor the connectivity of one of the players actually is. Ugh. Very annoying. Yeah, Hunter Purgatory. Just stuck listening to that music for all time. But yeah, it's frustrating because the end game, really, what you're going to be doing is helping other people. But strangely, when you're playing this game, or at least when I'm recording it, I feel disinclined to help other people. How I usually do it, how I've done it in the past, is I'll actually ask them, what do you need? I'll post it for you. And then that would be how I would get around the terrible connectivity, but I don't know. I find it easier to have these conversations on Hunsterverse, but fewer and fewer people are communicating on Hunsterverse and are just, you know, communicating with the PPSSPP chat now. And it's quite ugly. Like, I just don't like having that thing behind me. Do you see it? Just right there. See this fucking thing? I hate it. It's ugly. It just doesn't... what it does is it reminds me that I'm playing on an emulator. If it weren't there, I wouldn't feel like I was playing on an emulator. But because it is there, it's actually ruining my immersion. Feel free to get out the world's tiniest violin, but, you know, that's how I feel. It's annoying. I don't know what our next quest is going to be, just to be clear. Largely because they're communicating in a language that I can't understand. Well, that's probably not true. I'm able to figure out very small details, but for the most part I've got no idea what they're saying. I could see if anyone else is potentially playing. Looks like Chrysos is actually playing. That's cool. I might go and play with them. Because Chrysos, about 10 minutes ago, used the random hunt command, so what's he doing? I suppose I'll take this as an opportunity to show you the Discord capture. Let's have a look. So this is Hunsterverse, what you're seeing here. This is the room that I was in before. Well, the room that I'm currently in. Barkdor is gone now. That's him. I'm going to actually see... Is that the command? I think it is. Let's see if he's currently connected. No, it's just peek. I'm just going to spam him. Oh, so peek is to... Okay. Be great if I could fucking get the correct command, wouldn't it? It's, C Guildhall at Chrysos, I think. Is that it? Fuck off! You'd think I'd remember this, wouldn't you? Oh well. I'm just having a mental blank on the command. My first mistake was picking P3rd to stream. You're 100% correct. But that's alright. My keyboard is squeaking really awkwardly. Oh. No, it's my table. That's a long story, I'm not going to discuss that. Alright, I'm going to make another room, because this room may actually be closing now. I really don't know. But it's going to be much, much better if I can actually host the quests, and possibly even get the blue player to have decent connection as well. So, and the way that you ensure that the blue player has decent connection is that you only play with people who have good connection. Probably a pie-in-the-sky objective, but anyway. Apparently, Kusha's controller is broken, otherwise he would be joining. I need to do something about my squeaky table. Because as it stands, I don't even know if you can hear it, but it doesn't matter if you can hear it or not, because it is annoying enough for me not to want to hear it. Much less you guys, so... Anyway. Alright, we're joining hall number 22. I have created a session in hall 22. And we'll just be doing random hunts. So, I will be starting off with Chrysos. This is basically the starting point for a possible group. So let's see how we go. I'll bring up the chat, just so that you can see what ends up happening when I try to make a room. So, this is how you used to do it. It's not as effective anymore, because people tend to just not even use the server. Not all the time, but it's definitely less common that you will find people using the server to find people to play with. This guy, quite frankly, I mean, I have had success with this. As far as you saying good luck with that and then doing a giant laughing emote. Unhelpful would be how I'd respond to that. We may get people. We'll see how things go. I mean, we can also possibly get random people joining. That's an interesting loadout. Hold on, my chat is covering it. In terms of fashion hunting, check that out. That's really quite striking. Don't know about from the front, but certainly from behind that looks pretty cool. And that's it from the front. Obviously the helmet spoils it a little bit, but I guess it's for skills more than anything else. Yeah, from behind, pretty cool. Fairly coordinated. We'll hope that some other people join in the meantime, but just for now, I'll get started with something basic. I mean, unless Chrysos needs anything, but I don't think he does. He's pretty endgame. I'll ask him. Is he playing mobile or... Because people who play on mobile, they tend to not... Oh no, he's desktop, so that's fine. Yes, that is the guild waste. Alright, he doesn't need anything, so I might do the random hunt command, which I will demonstrate. You can see that it comes up like this. I do random hunt, or you can type out random hunt or just shorten it to RH. Works the same in both ways. And we've been given Rathian. I'm not going to do that. I'm not actually going to use the command at all. Basically, it has a cooldown, which I think is totally unnecessary, but, you know, oh, we've got a guy named Air who has joined the room. Just Air, that's his name. And, I guess we've got a third person now. But yeah, I don't know if Chrysos is watching the live stream, but yeah, I'm not doing that. Just in case he's not listening, I'm going to tell him that we're not doing it. Oh, come on. Alright, let's just do something else that's maybe weak to Dragon. No, I was actually considering doing something that would be appropriate for this loadout, but I've made the decision that I'm not going to use the same loadout twice anyway. Sort of links in with the desire not to do another Rathian. Something random. Probably just a single monster. Let's do Jade Baroth, that's a bit different. Haven't done that monster in a while. Jade Baroth was mentioned in the chat a short time ago, so... guess we're in keeping with that subject of discussion. Oh, what weapon? Let's do dual blades. And we'll keep with these. They are my fire dual blades, which is the element of choice for Jade Baroth. Hey, Hossein. Yeah, if you could join us, that would be great. It's in this quest list, isn't it? Oh, it's probably in the first one. No. Alright, I don't really think I need a drink. But I have rested in the hot spring. Alright, I'm going to remove the chat. Thank God for that. Now we have an uninterrupted view of the game. Someone's obviously going to say, it's not uninterrupted actually, because you're there. Well, fair enough, but at least it doesn't have the chat. Okay, well, it looks like Hossein was able to connect to OpenVPN, so I'll actually wait for him to come. Won't take him long. If he's already connected to that, then I want to do this quickly because it actually disconnects when you bring up that menu. I should mention. No. Warning monsters and invading monsters, I don't think I'm going to take the time to kill. I mean, if it's something that's... Because if I'm using an elemental weapon and then the other monster's not weak to that element, I'm not going to bother. But if the monster is weak to that element, maybe I will do it. We'll see. Yeah, I brought the chat back up just so that I could let know. That's how you say his name, unfortunately. It sounds like you're retching. Sure there's a more felicitous way of me referring to him, but that's how it's just going to be. It actually means art in Japanese, believe it or not. Why they chose to call it that, I don't know. You'll have to ask people who died many, many centuries ago. But yeah, air in Japanese is art. Possibly has other uses as well. Yeah, I suppose the name's better if you take that meaning from it. But just visually and saying it, no. Yeah, so there's actually two fonts that you get. There's like an almost spaced out font, and then you've got the standard one. So the one that Hosein's using, or Paul, I'll refer to him as Paul just to make it less confusing. The one that Paul is using is a more... It's like the Japanese font, but it's using the Hindu-Arabic letters. So... Alright, do we want to do anything with this? Probably. Air is already putting down bombs. Does he really have a sleep bombing loadout for this quest? That's probably unnecessary, and... Yeah. He's actually sleep bombing this monster as a strategy. Very well. I don't have any more bombs to use for the next round, but... I don't think that's going to discourage him from sleeping it again. Again, nothing wrong with his loadout. Nothing wrong with his strategy. It's just really excessive for a monster like this, and I don't think I'm going to be able to demonstrate much about this monster if it gets locked down by this guy. So he's going paralysis and KO as a strategy. It is what it is. Yeah, this monster's pretty locked down at the moment. That's alright, you can just see me swinging my weapons. It's always fun. I have to say, the critical attacks are very satisfying in this game. I don't know if you saw that. It might be to do with the thinness of the critical effects. Looks like a sharp blade. Let me see if I can demonstrate that a bit more. See that? Oh, I love that. I'd say the thinness of these dual blades is also helping to make the critical quite satisfying. There we go, you got to see the monster do something! I can see Air is going for a capture, but unfortunately, the fact that we continued attacking it prevented us from capturing it, but I'm not too worried about it. We might be able to go to the secret area. I'm not desperate to, though. Air is now kicking the monster, possibly in protest that his strategy was thwarted. It was quite entertaining to watch him get completely dunked like that. Alright, looks like we will be going to the secret area. Goodie. Not that I really need dragon bone relics, but this is indeed an area that you can go to. It's secret in that it will not actually appear on the map until you've opened up this area. So if you were to get a map from the box, for example, this isn't going to show up. Wow. Think of how much faster this hunt would have been if we captured it. Oh my god. He's a bit annoying, isn't he? You have to say that he is really fighting to stay alive. That's how this feels. He's backing himself into a corner, though. But I suppose that doesn't stop monsters from just limping back in the other way. Or in the other direction. Alright, I think it's now time that you died, my friend. Now, if Air had actually brought, I don't know, normal level 2, maybe that monster would have died before it even got into the secret area. But instead, he elected to just kick it. So, yeah, they did change the gathering spot for the Dragon Bone relics in this game. Used to be a bit further up there in Monster Hunter Tri, and of course in 3 Ultimate as well. But in this game, it's right here. I think the reason why they did it was because if you completed the run, or rather if you completed the quest further down that way, you're more likely to be able to gather the node completely if it's closer to the entranceway. Whereas previously you'd have to go up here or something. And because it's all the way over here, it lowered the chance of you actually getting your relics. So, that's why they did that, obviously. Just beta team trying to make things a little easier for everyone. Yeah, I think this is a nice location. I like the tundra in general, to be honest. A very dramatic final hit. Looks like Barrel's arm is exploding. Got some frozen globs. Gotta love that word, glob. It's one of my favorite words. Because it's so, so descriptive. Glob. Yeah, I probably should have noticed, just based on the loadout of this Air guy, that he was going to be doing paralysis gunning, but I guess I'm not feeling very observant today. Not glomp, just to be very clear. Certainly not glomp. That turned out perfectly. Except that it didn't turn out perfectly because I didn't get all of the skills. Alright, what's our next quest going to be? Hopefully this time the random hunt command will not. The random hunt command has given me Rathian? Now Rathalos. I don't really know why it keeps giving me things that I don't want to do, but anyway. Because you can accept that I did a bunch of gold Rathian, and then we finished up with Rathalos and Rathian, so I don't particularly want to do Rathian or Rathalos. I don't usually just ignore the random hunt command like this, but today I have to. Let's do the 2 Giganox monsters. It's a little bit dangerous, in that it's going to be a double monster, so what do I bring? Something general use. What can I bring? I feel like I've already used all of my general use weapons. I guess I can bring the Duramboros Fell Mace. Let's do that. No, that's Horn. Mate, not Hammer. Okay. Ooh, here we go. Duramboros Fell Mace. Alright, I'll probably do 2 more hunts. This one and then 1 more. And that'll do me. I think the 2 Giganox monsters show up in this quest list. There we go. Looks like Air is going to be the blue player. Oh dear. How's he going to feel about me posting something that's resistant to paralysis? We'll have to find out. Although, I don't know how resistant Baleful Giganox is to paralysis. I'm sure he still is affected by it. But I would assume the build-up takes longer, and also the effect duration is shorter. Looks like Hosein's going to be the blue player. Probably a good thing. Unless, of course, his connection is being slowed down by watching my live stream as well. We'll find out, I suppose. I didn't really pick it out of spite. I don't have a problem with Air's style. It's just not, you know, if my intention was to showcase the game and its monsters, having every monster locked down probably isn't a great way of doing that, but no, I wouldn't say that I chose this out of spite. I just realized after the fact that, oh, this actually won't be as good for his loadout. Or his strategy. I'm just reminded of when I used to play Generations Ultimate with Vernon, and what he would do is for every hunt, he would bring the Genprey Sword and Shield with aerial style mounting. So he was constantly mounting and paralyzing the monster. Why am I using Psychoserum? So yeah, the monster was getting locked down really brutally, and it trivialized every single confrontation that we did together. And so I said to him, look, can you please stop bringing this? Like, you are banned from using this loadout. It was so stupidly effective. So, yeah. It's not quite that bad, but it's, yeah, here we go. Here's our sleep. Oh, he's pinging for the sleep. Yeah, we'd better take advantage of it. He sleeps very strangely, though. Looks like Hosein didn't really want to stop, so that's all right. He possibly didn't notice what had happened there. To be fair, it did just look like he was knocked down, and the thing with Giganox is that he can fall asleep on his back, so a little bit confusing. Totally ruining this guy's strategy here by already KOing the monster. He's just going to have to learn that that strategy doesn't work for every quest. There are some quests where, and of course it depends on what people in the hunt are using as well. Like if I'm already doing the KO, he may not be able to get a nice clean KO at the time that he wants, because I've already KO'd the monster once, I'm already building up at different times, it's... yeah, I don't know. I think he's a bit too enthusiastic about the strategy. Sadly, didn't quite get that on target. I think he's going for paralysis next. Oh. Not the best placed trap. I mean, it was well placed at the time, but I don't know about it being well placed now. As you can see, the monster's just dancing around it. Oh, that surprisingly worked. Alright, so we'll probably end up with a paralysis in the trap. Probably should be heading towards the head. Oh no, he's not going for a paralysis in the trap. Might do the spin. Ooh, that might be dangerous. Still managed to get my golf swing, that's the important part. The monster is dead. Aha. This guy now can't place a trap in the next quest. Well, sorry, in the next hunt. He's going to have to wait for this pitfall to go. Can't dismantle your trap in this game. Do I have Carver High or something? No. I feel like I got 4 carves. I must be going crazy. Alright. I don't know precisely where the monster is. I think he's in Area 6. It's about the same to go in this direction, so I'll do that. I believe the area number is 6. I don't think I'm getting that wrong, but anyway. 5, sorry. I said 6, it was 5. But I knew where it was on the map, I just got the number wrong. The fact that that wasn't the head that I just hit is difficult to accept. Come on! Something about this monster's head that's really eluding me right now. Alright, should be able to get a KO after the next hit or two. Say, well, still nothing. Should be this one then. Oh well. We shall patiently wait for it to go out. But yeah, this is a very oversized hammer, as you can tell. It's my choice of hammer for general use. In the G-rank games, though, it tends to be surpassed by other things. Come on. There we go. What's the point of having Knockout King? Seriously. The funny thing about Knockout King, of course, is that a lot of people say that it's not worth getting at all because it's such a minute increase, you may as well just put the points into something else. But I'm a hopeless romantic. I like the idea of having Knockout King on my set, okay? So even if it's not that effective, I will get it. There's no fun in using only the best possible loadouts, quite frankly. I think the goal should be to be effective versus ineffective, not, you know, using the best possible loadout versus not the best possible loadout. That's pretty boring. Yeah, I feel like we, I think I chose one of the best possible quests to just dunk on this guy's loadout. That's the second time I've used the phrase dunk on in this recording. That's a phrase that I never use, but it's come out twice today. Whatever. But yeah, we've definitely undermined his strategy. And to be honest with you, I don't feel sorry for doing so. I think there's a time and a place for that strategy, and Giganox and Jade Baroth are not that time or place. So, that's just me. Knockout King and Punishing Draw with a longsword is truly ridiculous. That's a nice ending shot. I do wish that I could take away that menu. That would be very funny, actually. Alright, this will be the last hunt. We are just 2 hours in. What am I doing? The random hunt command is what I'm doing. Interestingly, the final shot, the final frame for Chrysos is quite different to mine, obviously because of different connectivity, but yeah, his is much less cool. Look at his. I mean, his looks good too, but on my screen he was basically blasting the monster into oblivion. Alright, the quest is going to be thrown into the tundra. It is Great Baggy, Jade Baroth, and Glacial Agnaktor. There's something about this random hunt command that just keeps selecting monsters that I've already done. It's selected Jade Baroth again, but I'll do it because it's got Glacial Agnaktor as well. No, you can't. I don't think you can do that in Freedom Unite, P-Berry. Yeah, the low resolution picture is just the way it has to be, unfortunately. That final end screen, there's no way to get a high-res version of that. Not that I've encountered. Maybe there will be in the future, but not yet. Alright, so this is going to be pretty much all fire weakness, so fire weapons are the way to go. Air, however, we'll just use the same loadout as before. I don't know that for certain, but I do know that for certain. Fire greatsword. That's what I'll bring. Rathalos Gleam Sword. Should I bring... don't know if I should bring Sharpness +1 for this. Nah, it's not. It's going to be pretty strong on its own. Even though it's only got a sliver of blue, that sliver will last pretty well. It's the second highest sharpness, so it's nothing to scoff at. It's definitely appropriate. As for where to find this quest, maybe here. Could also be down here. It's going to be a triple monster quest. Here we go. Thrown into the tundra. I'd say it's a good hunt to end on. Chrysos is bringing the weird accordion-looking things. Not actually an accordion, but... Well, I think strictly that is an accordion. Not like a piano accordion, like the instrument, but I believe that shape, that thing is an accordion. But no, that's a name that I forgot. I seem to remember it in the past, but I think it's meant to be like... No, it is an accordion. It is an instrument. Here I am thinking that it might be referring to, you know, that thing that you use to stoke a fire in a fireplace. The name of which temporarily eludes me, but yeah, it's definitely meant to be an instrument as well, because it's a hunting horn. Anyway. I was doing some mental gymnastics there, and quite frankly I was overcomplicating something that was pretty simple. It's a fucking musical accordion. Because it's a hunting horn. Alright. I actually don't mind this loadout visually. It works well enough. So obviously monster number 1 is going to be Great Baggy. He should be right here actually. Bastard. I do have critical draw, so it means that I can much more comfortably settle on lower charge levels. He's shitting on me at the moment, in case you haven't noticed. He's perfectly evading everything that I'm doing. Fucker. Definitely an annoying monster to use a greatsword on. Yeah, now you stop, prick. It looks like Paul and Air. Again, I don't know what Air is doing now. Is Air doing his status bullshit for the benefit of one other guy? I don't know. Just another example of why that loadout is not appropriate for all hunts. But he insists on departing on every quest with it, so... Anyway, they're obviously finding the Jade Barrel. Don't do it. You could see him so deliberately aiming in my direction. I really hate Baggy. I'm usually fairly neutral to him, but wow. Not a fan today. I feel like Great Sword and Great Baggy are a terrible pairing. Finally he dies. Could also say finally he dead. He dead. It was actually meaning to say died. He's one of 3 monsters and he has limited health, like very low health naturally, so... Quite frankly, I'm surprised he didn't die sooner. Looks like Jade Barrel's also dead. So, as for where the Glacier Lagnactor spawns, I believe it's... Oh no, he's not dead, sorry. They're just pursuing the monster. I think Glacier Lagnactor spawns in Area 7, but I might be wrong about that. Oh, there's 2 baggies. Jesus. So there's actually 4 monsters in this quest. That's crazy. Bloody hell. So I suppose how it works is that they come in groups of 2. So Glacier Lagnactor and Jade Baroth will appear at the same time. I want for all of us to be in the same confrontation together. It's acceptable to split into 2 groups for a monster like Great Baggy, but let's make sure that we're all staying together when going up against the next monsters, because we've got a Hunting Horn, the effectiveness of which is going to be, I guess, proportional to the number of hunters there are to take advantage of the songs. And then we've got who, you know, is going to be trapping the monster and paralyzing it and bombing it. Quite frankly, he would benefit from all of us being present as well. So now that I realise that they're spawning as groups of 2, Glacier Lagnactor is going to spawn in this area. Excuse me, I'm fucking wrong. I was right the first time. Anyway. I'll just continue being wrong over here. Don't worry about me. What are you doing? What are you pinging for? Oh, the sleep. He's getting excited. Jesus, man! Oh, God forbid I place down both of my bombs. Aha. That may have actually been a limp. Because it looked like he was preparing to leave the area, and if he's already leaving, it means it would be for a limp. So, oh, there you go. Good KO. And he's going for the capture, which should be... Shockingly, it was not successful. That means he was not leaving to limp out, it turns out. I guess he wasn't even limping at all. That's what we can assume. Just sharpen myself up all the way. For good measure. Maybe Glacier Lagnactor's over here if he's not there. That would be my guess. No? He must have spawned. Why? Why? Why didn't they spawn together? It would make sense that you'd have the 2 baggies and then you'd have the other 2 large monsters, but no, for some reason, they spawn separately. I don't understand, but that's alright. I feel like this recording, more than any other that I've ever done, I've just been totally wrong on everything that has come out of my mouth. I don't know why. It's just one of those days. I suppose the trap, we could say, was too well placed. It was obviously destroyed as the monster spawned. Got our elemental attack boost bonus, which is good. How much elemental damage am I doing now? 67. Pretty high. That's true element, of course, so that would be 670 in another game that actually had inflated values. I'm not really worried about breaking everything on the monster. Just looking to get damage out at the moment. And the monster is captured. There you have it. Didn't end up being that problematic that the trap was destroyed upon the spawn. Upon the spawning of the monster. It's a very golden guild loadout. I can't say the green head really, or the green skull really, goes with it that well, but maybe there's a reason why he's made it green. I don't know. It is too much for these monsters. That's what I was explaining before. There is a time and a place for this kind of loadout, and this is not it. Imagine if you got carried through the game by this guy. And I bet he does that too. I would guarantee that this guy would join rooms with people who are just going through the game for the first time and then just completely carry them through the game. And honestly, that's a big problem in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. The result of that is that people don't feel like their hunts are meaningful and they will lose interest in the game. But it's a much wider issue than just this guy, so I'm not going to blame him solely for the fact that lots of people lose interest in this game, but yeah. It's not ideal, we'll put it that way. That's actually not a bad talisman, but it has no slot, so I would be unlikely to use it. Alrighty. I now realise I don't actually remember the character, but this is definitely who that was meant to be. It's Jim Carrey, isn't it? It looks like Jim Carrey. I don't actually know, but looks a bit like him. Either way, I'm familiar with that character visually, I just don't know where he's from or anything like that. Anyway, I do thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time I'm playing a Monster Hunter game, or perhaps anything else that you'd like to watch. This has been our first Portable 3rd recording. Sort of, it was a little bit bumpy with the connectivity, but I would say this has been a good recording to demonstrate what you can expect when you play this game online, for good or for ill. Either way, I'll bid you all farewell for now, and I'll see you next time I'm playing. Bye bye.